Hello, my name is Andy, and welcome to a little thought experiment about trying to simplify the universe. Our goal here is try to simplify the universe as much as possible, aka, what are the smallest little bits that we could maybe squeeze out of this thought experiment? AKA, you can simplify the any action, phenomena, occurrence, anything with three main categorical parameters: rules, reactions, and instructions. And again, I'm going to say this, I'm sorry that it doesn't start with an R. I like my alliteration. So we're taking the very big idea of the universe and trying to make it as much smaller, simple thing. So the rules. They are the fundamental parameters in which all reactions follow. So these are things kind of like you see formulas in physics, or the laws as well. They happen with no artificial input or instructions, which means they just happen on their own. They're inherent, they're just fundamental. They're going to happen no matter what you do. So again, we got the examples of some various physics equations up here on the screen, such as like the force of gravity, the momentum formula. You even got the law of conservation of energy. And you can think of these as, again, they're inherent. They're going to happen regardless. These are what all the reactions, all the things that happen in the universe, they happen because of this. Whenever a reaction happens, it's just because they are following these rules. So the reactions, let me go back. So the reactions, they're the actual things that happen, and they happen because of the rules. So anything affected by the rules are subject to react and interact accordingly. Again, we got the force of gravity as our example between two objects. So if you got two objects in space that are just sitting there, they're just there, because of the rule for the force of gravity, their own gravitational forces, because of the rules they have, the inherent properties they have because of all these rules, they will inherently start to get closer and closer together. And of course, this kind of stuff isn't just only for physics. It's also stuff like chemistry, and the idea is supposed to cover everything. But since I got some background in physics, I figured I use physics as my main types of examples here. You also have the instructions. So instructions, that's what kind of covers the biological component, aka stuff like us. It's because the reactions, that's more along the lines of for the like just basic objects, anything that just kind of exists. But for life, instructions are basically lots and lots and lots of packets of reactions that our body does. So whenever something happens or a need arises, your body sends instructions of like feelings, actions, wants, stuff like hunger, pain, and joy. And one example you can think of is, let's say like you get like a cut somewhere on your body and it causes some bleeding. Well, your body then it sends nerve impulses and like the cells start to react. They send signals to other cells. And so firstly, like you get like pain notification, like, oh, hey, you use pain, there's something wrong here. And then like your body's like, all right, we've got signals that there is an injury here. We need to send some platelets up there. We gotta get that wound blocked. We gotta get some white blood cells going that way. That way we can find off any potential like bacteria or infection. And it can go on and on and on. So it goes, imagine that, but it's happening like millions and millions and millions, probably even more times, like probably per second, for not just that, but like for everything going on in your body, and not just for your body, but for all the bodies of other people, animals, plants, anything alive, basically. So again, the instruction part is basically just the biological reactions in this case. Again, there are rules, like a reaction to happen because knife is sharp, because formula for like pressure, puncture happens to your skin. It can only have so much threshold as a physical object until it breaks, and then when it breaks, because it's part of a living entity, those things react by sending instructions. Again, the whole idea is like it's just more and more reactions happening, but it's your body doing it. Another smaller example would be like if you've ever had like a similar experience with like maybe accidentally like burn your hand on a stove or fire of some kind, you very quickly like pull your hand away. It's that same idea. A reaction happens, like the heat from the fire is like warming up your hand because that's physically what it does until eventually reaches a certain threshold of like, oh, this is damaged now. Your body sends a signal and boop, pull your hand away. So, in conclusion, this was supposed to be a fun little thought experiment to try and condense everything that happens in the universe into like three major big categories. If you can say, why does this happen out in space? Well, let's see. We got rules of reality, physics that happen, and the things up there in space are just reacting accordingly. Of course, one question that might be asked is like, well, what about black holes? Well, maybe those have their own rule sets, or maybe they're just rule breakers. We don't fully know. And then the other thought during this was, hey, what about life? Because we can react and do things on our own accord. Are we also bound by rules? Maybe, maybe not. Again, some people definitely have different thoughts and opinions on that, but I figured the instruction component could be a way to kind of, throw the idea out there for like why your body at least covers like the basics for like your sensations, pain, and hunger and all that. Again, the idea was to like cover of why do things happen this way? What about life? Does it follow the rule set? I just kind of went over that. If you have any insight, thoughts, or ideas that would maybe improve this idea, I would certainly love to hear from anyone, or again, just what anyone thought about this idea. Sometimes I like to have these little thought experiments, like, oh, I wonder what other people might think on this. So thank you very much for listening to this lovely little idea that I came up with, and have a wonderful rest of your day.